Today, we're diving into the incredible story of Nikola Tesla. He's a name that just screams genius, electricity, and yeah, a whole lot of mystery. He was a guy who literally dreamed up the future we're all living in, but his own life ended in a paradox that we're still trying to figure out. Just let that sink in for a second. This is how one of the greatest minds in history spent his final moments. So, how could the man who gave the world so much end up with, well, with nothing? To figure that out, we have to look at the brilliant and, honestly, kind of tragic story of his life. I mean, look at this. The contrast is just staggering, isn't it? On one side, you've got the very foundations of our modern world, the AC electrical system we all use, the beginnings of radio, more than 300 patents. And on the other side, a man who died in debt, whose life's work was literally snatched up by the FBI. So how does a genius on this level fall so far? To really get what happened to him, we have to start at the end, with the really strange and mysterious circumstances around his death. For the last 10 years of his life, this was his home, room 3327. Can you picture it? An 86-year-old man living on mostly milk and crackers, spending his days in seclusion, feeding pigeons, all in a city that was running on the very technology he created. So officially, he died of a heart attack. Case closed, right? Not even close. What happened next was, let's just say, highly unusual. Within hours, the FBI showed up and seized everything, nearly 80 trunks packed with his research. And that single act has fueled decades of conspiracy theories about what amazing or maybe even dangerous ideas the government wanted to keep under wraps. But okay, to understand that lonely end, we've got to rewind. Let's go all the way back to his electrifying beginning, back to that spark of genius that brought him to America in the first place. So this is him. This is the man who landed in New York back in 1884. He had, get this, just 4 cents in his pocket. But he was carrying something way more valuable, a vision for a whole new electrical age, and a letter of recommendation to the most famous inventor on the planet. Can you imagine getting a letter that says that? It was written by one of Thomas Edison's own managers in Europe. And of course, Edison hired him right away, totally unaware that he was setting the stage for one of the greatest rivalries in the history of science. And this right here is the heart of their conflict. You've got Tesla, the total visionary, this poet of science, who was thinking about these huge revolutionary ideas. And then there's Edison. He was brilliant, for sure, but he was a hard-headed businessman. He wasn't just inventing things, he was building an empire. And that empire was based entirely on his direct current, or DC, technology. This basic disagreement about how to light up the world, well, it wasn't just a friendly debate. It exploded into a full-on war, the war of currents. All right, so here's the simple breakdown. Edison's DC was inefficient. It couldn't travel far, so you'd literally need a power plant on almost every city block. But Tesla's alternating current, or AC, it was a game changer. Using transformers, you could step up the voltage to send it hundreds of miles with hardly any power loss, and then step it down to make it safe for your house. AC was just better. But it had one big problem. Those high voltage lines sounded scary to people. And the battle got ugly fast. In 1886, George Westinghouse started backing Tesla's AC system, which was a huge threat to Edison's DC monopoly. So by 1888, Edison launched this massive smear campaign to convince everyone that AC was deadly. It got so dark that by 1889, New York actually started using AC for the new electric chair. But the final showdown was in 1893. Tesla and Westinghouse won the contract to power the Chicago World's Fair, and they proved to the entire world that AC was the future. Seriously, Edison's tactics were absolutely ruthless. He held public demonstrations where he electrocuted animals with AC just to scare people. He even secretly helped develop the AC-powered electric chair, just so his competitors' technology would become linked with death. He wanted people to hear alternating current and just think danger. But here's the thing about Tesla. Even after winning the war of currents, he wasn't really focused on getting rich. Nope. He had a much bigger, much more human vision in mind. This was his masterpiece, the Wardenclyffe Project. Tesla truly believed he could use the Earth's own frequency to send power and information wirelessly to anywhere on the globe. No wires, no meters, and, this is the big one, no cost to the people using it. Free energy for everyone. And to make this incredible dream a reality, he got a huge investment from the most powerful money man on the planet, J.P. Morgan. With that cash, construction started on this massive tower out in New York. And then, just like that, it all fell apart. The minute J.P. Morgan figured out that Tesla's goal wasn't just wireless messages, but free, unlimited energy for all of humanity, he pulled out. I mean, think about it. How do you put an electric meter on free? The failure of Wardenclyffe, that was really the beginning of the end for Tesla. It was the start of a long, slow slide into financial ruin and being forgotten by the public. The fall was just brutal. The tower was torn down and sold for scrap. His AC patents, the things that had made him rich, they all started to expire. By 1916, the man who had electrified the entire planet was officially bankrupt. He was forced to spend the rest of his life just moving from one hotel to the next, a forgotten genius. But a story like this, it doesn't just end in some lonely hotel room. His real victory wasn't something he'd see in his own lifetime. It would come later, in the future he worked so hard to build for all of us. Think about it. Edison died a famous national hero. Tesla died broke and alone. So on the surface, it seems pretty obvious who won, right? But the real way to measure victory isn't about fame or money while you're alive. The real answer is all around us. The entire global power grid, the electricity flowing through your walls right this second to power whatever you're watching this on, it all runs on Tesla's AC system. In the end, his vision, not Edison's, is the one that powers our world. You know, it's almost like Tesla knew it himself. He once said, "The present is theirs, the future for which I really worked is mine." He was a man completely out of time. His ideas were just too big for his own era, but they turned out to be perfect for ours. And that brings us right back to that final mystery. Tesla's legacy is the world we live in today, for sure. But it leaves us all wondering, what other futures did he imagine? What other world-changing ideas might still be locked away, undiscovered, inside those 80 trunks the FBI took?